Hello, warriors. Welcome to the You Movement. I am B. To start with, I'd like to do a little bit of an announcement about You Talk. We are scheduled to go tonight this is Friday that I'm filming this, at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Tonight, I'm talking with Katie Lee. I'm very excited about this interview. I also am getting booked up. I'm already booked all the way until the mid of November. So if you are interested in participating with one of our weekly You Talks to help and assist others on their awakening path by coming on and sharing with us details of your awakening, you can share what you want to share. There's no rules to these things other than no politics. That is my one rule. I am interested to hear about some of the initiations perhaps you have gone through, such as your, escaping from a narcissistic situation, a healing crisis, learning to surrender, coming out of the closet, the spiritual closet, and connecting to your gifts, the different phases that perhaps you've gone through. If you're interested in coming on and sharing with us because your information might help somebody else feel less alone and less afraid, then please reach out and get in touch with me so that we can schedule you in for a segment on You Talk, which will be held Fridays, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, live here on YouTube. The way to get in touch with me is in the description below, or just email me at justbeing@gmail.com, or find me on Facebook as Be Freedom, BEE, like the Bumble, or jump into my Spiritual Warriors support group. The link for that will be in the description below. That said, I wanted to continue today and check in and see how everybody's been doing in this eclipse energy of wow. It just kind of feels a little bit like popcorn. I don't know if you've ever made popcorn on the stovetop, old school, where, you're shaking the pot and one thing goes pop and then another one goes pop and then things start popping off. That's kind of what the energy feels like and I have a feeling we're only really at that beginning stages, and there might be a lot more that pops off. And what does that even mean energetically? It means, wow, the triggers might be coming in. Things might be happening. So today I wanted to talk about triggers. Triggers have become my new favorite thing ever. Who would have thunk it? Back in the day, people would be like, oh, this situation triggers me. Give me a trigger warning. I need to escape from my triggers. And now I'm like, bring it on. When a trigger comes in, it is an opportunity for healing. It is a fast track into clearing out old limiting beliefs, a fast track to helping integrate your inner child wounds and bring yourself back into wholeness, to trigger to an opportunity to reparent, to rethink, triggers are fantastic. So I actually really enjoy triggers. Now, actually, I can't really say enjoy. Maybe that's too strong a word. I appreciate triggers now when they show up. So I wanted to talk about one of the most recent triggers, because there's a lot of them lately. But I've been doing, as a sideline little project for myself, looking back as a retrospective of my 3 years of my awakening and observing how far that I've come and connecting to that older version of me. On this awakening process, we go through substantial amount of ego death, and that is identity dying over and over and over again. And when I've been looking back at 3 years ago, it just blows my mind, because I'm like, who even is that person? And that poor woman, I have nothing but a whole bunch of empathy for her, because she doesn't have a clue what is around the corner. Because it veered very dark after my bliss phase, and one thing after another happened. Talk about triggers, big triggers, Big triggers would be defined as big, huge tower moments, things that come along and just absolutely have things collapse all around you. So where I was in my retrospective, looking back, was around the time that I cut my mother off for the first time in my life after 40 some odd years. And that was a mammoth thing. Nobody cuts a parent out of their life willy-nilly. It's the last thing that you want to do. And you see a lot of minimizing and downplaying with these social media posts of don't cut people off. You only have one life. Listen, if you've been abused continually for an extended period of time and you finally come to the place where you're like, I can't tolerate this anymore for my very survival, I need to cut this person out of my life. That is not an easy decision to make. That is a decision made by a warrior, by somebody who has finally said, I can't do it anymore. I just can't do it. And that's what happened. Next up, right around this time on these videos, I asked for a divorce from my narcissistic ex. And that was a very long time coming. I had asked for separations close to probably, 10 times in the last 15 years, never being able to get rid of them. But I put my foot down and not asked for a separation. This time I actually asked for a divorce. I was like, no, I want a divorce. And in and around that same time, my awakening had begun, and my Kundalini, if you've seen the last couple of videos in the retrospective, had started the purge process, the purification of things bubbling to the surface, and the tears, the grief, the angst, oh my God, the feelings. And as well as trying to navigate my head through what is known as the twin flame journey, or what I call the twin flame situationship. So a lot of things were happening back at that time. And so recently, the other day, I watched episode 5, and I will be posting that next of my review of episode 5. And seeing that woman triggered me so much. And the reason for that is because of my hair. And I know it seems like a silly thing to be triggered by, but sometimes soul makes us do crazy things. And I talk a lot about that in the video, so I'm not going to go down too much on why I did that, but I ended up dyeing my hair, and you will see in that video, it was not an attractive look. But more I wanted to talk about on this video, what was going through my mind at the time, and that's why I entitled that next video, the Fool Archetype, because I was feeling so incredibly foolish. Here I was in love with a man that I barely knew, who had come into my life and activated some heart chakra thing and some Kundalini and soul recognition, and I felt my ego did not like this at all. So there's a lot of people out there on the twin flame journey that, they believe so strongly in this notion that you have met your divine counterpart, and this is going to be a fairy tale, and it's going to be happily ever after, and it's going to just be all your hopes and dreams come true. And listen, my heart was telling me that. My mind, on the other hand, was telling me, you're nuts. You are crazy, lady. You are just absolutely crazy. If somebody came into your life and you had feelings, this must be limerence. This must be a trauma bond. This must be insanity. This must be cuckoo cuckoo, because he came into your life, you felt feelings you never felt before, and then he swiftly left your life. So to have the situation that I was in, what they call a third party, being still in a marriage, a dysfunctional one at that, a toxic one, but with very staunch values of loyalty and not crossing any boundaries, was my egoic mind. And the reason for that was because when I was in my young 20s, I was married the first time, and I was quite foolish. Back then, I got married at age 20, was divorced by 22. And in that, I was too young, immature, and irresponsible to know how to successfully ask to get out of a relationship. So instead of being a grown-up about it, I cheated. And I have to take ownership of what I've done wrong. It is a karma that I have carried with me and attempted to atone for. I apologized. I owned. I, did all of the appropriate things. And I swore to myself I would never, ever, ever do anything like that again. So to find myself in what felt like a repeating situation again, felt so triggering. And it triggered in me this archetype of the fool, of feeling foolish, of embarrassment. And embarrassment is not an emotion that I particularly enjoyed very well at all, because I was raised in an environment where I was ridiculed quite routinely. I was the butt of the jokes. It was very easy for my mother to create entertainment for herself by her roping my brother in and anyone else to cracking jokes at my expense, even at family Christmas dinners with guests. The whole table I'd be the roast. So I hate feeling foolish. It is one emotion that does not sit comfortably with me. Well, none of the emotions actually really sit comfortably with me. If you've been following me, you know that. So on this awakening path, you're faced to address all these different emotions. So to watch this video where I'm feeling like a fool, looking like a fool, and being in the energy of the fool archetype, I had to do a lot of reparenting, reprogramming, and focusing my attention on, so that this is deep, profound shadow work of going into the shadow and accepting, listen, there's something inside of me that's foolish. I'm going to have to own this. I have an inner fool. And my inner fool flies by the seat of her pants and follows her heart and just leaps. And that's the Fool card in the tarot deck. You see this person carrying on a stick a little bag, ready to set off on a great adventure. Well, that's me as well. So the Fool archetype is an interesting archetype because it not only has these shadow elements associated with it of being a clown or being made fun of, laughed at, ridiculed, but it also has these light attributes of being lighthearted, frivolous, fun, seeking pleasure, going on a great adventure, all of those things. And so, trying to embrace the shadow means embracing the light. It's bringing them both back into harmony inside of yourself. And that's the joy that is a trigger. A trigger comes up, and then we say to ourselves, okay, what is triggering me? When have I felt like this before? What is the wound that is associated with this? So here I was looking like a clown, and I'm like, oh, it's the Fool archetype. Okay, what in the Fool archetype is causing in me to have a reaction to go, oh, I don't want this, and push it away. In so doing, creating a fracture within our wholeness, pushing a certain aspect of self away and trying to repress it. And so then, as I've said before, they'll bubble to the surface at inappropriate times. And man, I could play the fool. You gave me enough shots of tequila, and I knew how to play a fool quite well, oftentimes. And then in the morning, we'd be sitting in the embarrassment of like, oh my God, why did I do that? That was so embarrassing. And meanwhile, I guess there was always a piece of me that thought, if I can laugh at myself first, then at least nobody else is laughing at me. So here's this journey that's instigated, this twin flame journey that comes along. It instigates in you for all your wounds to come up. And so here I had a wounding around the association with fool. And in going and doing the deep shadow work and sitting in the healing, not only do I see the shadow and see the stuff that makes me mortified, it also helps me see the benefits that come along with that, the light attributes that come along with that energy. That, you know, I've had great adventures in my life. For a 51-year-old woman, I've lived in Tokyo, Japan for a year. I've lived in Ireland for 10 years. I've traveled independently on my own as a single mom with son in tow. I've gone on this adventure, that adventure, and all of that is that fool. It's the like, I'm just gonna take an adventure and go, and that is something to embrace and get excited about. So I had to sit in the energy for a day and really feel it, allow it, and just whatever was going to bubble, allow up. And while whatever's bubbling to come up, it is to comfort, is to care, is to love yourself like no one else has been before, and accept yourselves in your dark and your light. Yes, I am a fool. I am a fool in love. I am a fool when it comes to adventure. I am a fool when it comes to just having fun. And those aspects of me, I want to embrace, because that's where my sense of humor comes from. That's where, my ability to go up on stage and do a stand-up comedy show a couple years ago came from. Is just... So I don't know if the fool archetype is one that resonates with you, or you're being triggered to face other archetypes that might be coming up right now. Maybe the failure, maybe you tell me. I'd love to hear what you are trying to shove away and what you need to bring back into wholeness with yourself right now, as this energy that's coming in is illuminating all our dark and shadowy places, so that we can become whole again. If you need help processing through and facing some of your shadow aspects of self, and you would like to book a one-on-one with me, the way to do that will be in the description below. And if you would like to maybe have a card read, I have 2 archetype decks, 3 archetype decks, and we can help see what archetype spirit might think that you need to work on. That might be a fun way to do things. All of my services are donation based. I thank you so greatly for all the continued likes, shares, and subscriptions that I get to the channel. If you have any questions or comments, I absolutely love and adore them, and will answer everyone as best as my ability. And with that said, peace out. And go do something foolish today. That's your mission.